Hello friends, today we're going to be diving into what metrics determine the success of a sales team. So metrics can really be your best friend if you understand how to use them and how they apply to helping you get the most out of your team. So in this video, I'm going to talk all things metrics, but more specifically, I want to talk about which specific metrics will help you determine the success of your team and give you some vital information that will drastically improve your sales team success right now. Metrics, it's the topic most sales guys don't even want to talk about. They just say, hey, let me handle my art. Let me just do it my way. Ironically, understanding metrics can turn a good sales team into a great one. And of course, we want to be great. So let's spend the next few minutes diving into what metrics you should use and how those metrics can make your team great. We will know why they matter, and I will give you some real world examples that'll take you from zero to hero. If you're ready, let's go. All right, so what are metrics and what are metrics specific to the sales world? Now, honestly, the be all end all of metrics is sales. It's the number that they produce. And most salespeople would love to say, that's all I need to do. That's all you're looking for, right? But there's an underlying story behind sales, and it's the metrics, right? It's the activity. It's everything that's underneath the sales that we really got to understand in order to see success and really to reach greatness as a sales organization. So one of my favorite quotes is where performance is measured and performance is reported back, performance improves. Think about it. If you don't measure performance, how are you going to know if you're improving? How are you going to know if you're getting better, right? And sales only tells a small portion of the story. Like I mentioned, there's an underlying story that if sales aren't where you want them to be, you can look at those metrics and determine what is truly happening within your organization. And when you have the answer to those questions, that's where you can really dive in and do some deep work to improve sales, not just for a short period of time, but for a long period of time and keep improving. I remember reading a book, super impactful to me many, many years ago. It was a book called It's Not the Big That Eat the Small, but It's the Fast That Eat the Slow. And in there was a story about a gentleman who owned a pizza parlor in Spain, and he was franchising it. And he knew if he delivered X amount of flyers to X amount of doors, he would get X amount of phone calls. And from X amount of phone calls, he would have X amount of customers that would arrive at his pizza parlor. Because he understood the metrics so well, he was able to open up other franchises of his pizza parlor, and his franchisees came in with a solid understanding of what they had to do to see similar success. It was one of the fastest growing franchises in all of Spain. And ultimately, think about it. Metrics is like keeping score. Can you imagine going to a football game, a basketball game, any type of event and not seeing a score on the board, not seeing statistics? How excited would the performers be if they weren't measured? Really, that's why athletes or even sales reps are paid a large amount of money, is because they can perform. And if you're not measuring performance, we honestly don't know how they're doing. Another important point is how metrics determine success and why. Honestly, broken down to its core, metrics are the scoreboard. It really is the way that we're able to watch performance either improve or go down, and being able to make adjustments based on the metrics to then improve and adjust sales as we need to. There was a story many years ago, I remember seeing it, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal or one of the big publications, but there was an organization who said, listen, you know what, in today's environment with the different type of workers that we have, we're not going to keep track of any metrics. They said, you know what, this is putting too much pressure on our workforce. We're just going to have a great time and we're just going to work. Ironically, the story told of what happened early on and then told the story afterwards. As you can imagine, many years after they implemented this new practice of not keeping score, the company went bankrupt. They went out of business. So honestly, not keeping score, not having metrics in front of you is detrimental to the success of your business. Now in sales, there's a lot of underlying metrics that you can look at, and every sales organization is different. But there are some basic metrics that apply for all of them. Specifically, I've been in the world of high ticket sales regarding educational programs. So one thing we've looked at in the history of our business is a metric of phone time and dials. We sell our programs over the phone. Now, phone time and dials you think are pretty simple metrics, but let me tell you how they told a completely different story. Phone time was how much time a sales consultant was on the phone working essentially, right? And dials is how many times they tried to reach the prospect. Now, looking at those independently might not tell a story, but combining those told a huge story. So we always knew if somebody had really high phone time and really low dials, we knew that individual was spending way too much time on the phone, giving away too much information. We knew that they had given so much information to the client that the client essentially got what they were looking for, information, and they were going to think about it to make a decision. Now you combine that with not any sales, we knew exactly how to fix that. We knew that we had to talk to the sales consultant about not talking too much, listening more, spending more time on what mattered most. Now, on the flip side of the coin, someone who had a lot of dials and very little phone time and no sales, we knew something was wrong in that individual's approach right from the get-go, right? We knew that their nonverbal, metaverbal communication was way off. They were coming in maybe at a level 10 when the person they were reaching or calling at home was maybe at a level 5. And whatever was happening in that initial part of the call was turning off the potential client. So we knew if we did some training based around nonverbal, metaverbal communication, we could fix that. So having that balance of phone time and dials told us a story about where we needed to train our reps. And it actually significantly improved sales all the way around. Plus, it gave us a base on specific for our sales representatives. But ultimately, it was understanding and looking at the metrics associated with the activity that led to sales. It wasn't sales, but there's always an underlying activity that leads to sales. And that's really what you need to break down. You need to reverse engineer sales. So to get X amount of sales, you need X amount of conversations, X amount of prospects, X amount of sets or appointments, X amount of phone time, X amount of dials. If you understand that, you can then reverse engineer it and realize if I do this, then this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, that will happen. And if you can do that, you'll understand the metrics that tell the whole story. One other thing we found really interesting in our business. Now, in most sales that are done worldwide, you look at conversion rate. What is the conversion rate? Now, conversion rate is how many leads, prospects do you have, and how many of those were converted into sales. And each business has a different conversion rate that makes sense. Now, in our business, it's the same. When we sell high-ticket educational programs over the phone, conversion rate's important. But we realized that it wasn't the end-all, be-all for metrics that we needed. Rather than looking at just conversion rate, we looked at something called $1 per lead. So every lead we got, we expect a sales rep to convert those. But let's look at this. Say you have one sales rep who maybe they got 3 sales, right? This other sales rep got 1. But this sales rep, say the programs they were selling, they sold 3 $2,500 programs. That's $7,500. Let's say that this rep did a $10,000 sale. Now, you might say, well, the person got 3 sales, their conversion rate's higher, but this person actually pulled more money out of the leads it received than this person did, even though this person's conversion rate was higher. Once we understood that for our business, it transformed it. We could then measure all the leads that were handed to the sales reps on an individual level as $1 per lead rather than a conversion rate, and we were able to see who was actually performing. As I mentioned, metrics tell a story that sales don't. If you have ideas on metrics that have worked well for your business, I'd love you to comment and let me know, and we can hopefully engage in a dialogue where we can learn from each other. And ultimately, I've got a gift I want to give you. It's a 12-part sales and persuasion. It's called Persuasion and Influence. It's a 12-part series and it's available for free. Normally, each segment of that training is $100, so it's normally a $1,000 gift that I want to give to you for free. The link is below, aaronsSalesTraining.com, right below here. Thank you. Have a great day.